Alrighty, on today's show, we have Stephanie Brow, and she is with Morgan Oaks Eternal Preserve. Stephanie, thanks for being on the show today. What is Morgan Oaks Eternal Preserve?
So thank you for having me, first of all. So we are a green burial cemetery and wildlife preserve out in Lincoln, California.
Okay, wow, that is a whole lot, and it sounds super interesting. So let's start off with, first, you say you're a green cemetery.
Yep.
Correct?
Correct.
How does that differ from Mount Vernon or all the other cemeteries, East Lawn Memorial? How does that differ?
Yeah, so a lot of ways. Number one is we're about a third of the cost. That is always the biggest thing, especially right now in the world that we live in.
Sure.
Green burial just means no toxins, no embalming. We're not putting anything back.
Is this legal?
It is. It is. I mean, it's very California of us, right? So nothing goes back into the earth that is not biodegradable. So,
and is that where the costs come in? All of those processes, that's what you're paying for, and that's why you guys are cheaper?
Yeah. So we don't have the vaulting.
What's the vaulting?
So like a lot of cemeteries, a traditional cemetery would have vaults that line the grave. We don't have that. So whether it's cement, there is a rumor there's plastic.
So that's aside from the casket then?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
gotcha.
So our caskets are
Why do they have those?
To preserve the body, which I don't know why anyone would ever want to do that. So we don't
I
have
want to
that.
go check on my grandma, see how she's doing.
Yeah. And so a lot of them do that so the water doesn't leak in. But again, like, why do we care?
We're not digging it up and trying to see how she's doing.
And these $1,000 caskets that people are putting together. I always say your funeral is kind of like your wedding, but at the end of your life, right? Like people are paying $25,000, $30,000, $50,000 to bury a loved one. For what?
It's a lot. Yeah, crazy.
Like, we don't need all that. Our casket is bamboo. It's wicker. It's beautiful.
Right.
But it's, not crazy expensive.
Okay, awesome. Keep going.
Okay, so that's a green burial. So it's just very basic. Back to the earth. You're going to decompose just as you should. And then our wildlife preserve. Really, really cool. So Morgan Oaks is 160 acres total.
Okay.
So 40 of it is wildlife preserve.
Who owns these acres? Is it Morgan Oaks?
So it's the owners of Morgan Oaks,
okay,
which our founding company is called Wildlands.
Okay.
And they are a wildlife mitigation business. And so they own it. It's private owners, which is really cool because we can kind of do what we want, what we see is fit. And so 40 acres wildlife preserve. So you'll see birds of all species. You'll see coyotes, deer, jackrabbits all over the property, which is really cool. So,
and this is over out by the casino? No, I'm just kidding. It's in Lincoln somewhere, right?
Lincoln. You go through old Lincoln. It's out kind of.
You have a heart attack because of all the money you lost.
Yes,
and
or one.
Right, or one, and then they bury you in the backyard.
Yeah.
But where is this located?
So past the old mill in Old Lincoln, you go out into the farmlands. A lot of my customers know it because we're right near Rancho Roble, the vineyard out there.
Sure.
So we are literally, you could walk and get your wine and then come sit and visit your loved one.
And obviously, what you guys are doing helps the wine grapes, right?
Yeah, don't say that. No. People get a little freaked out when they hear, like, oh my gosh, that does not happen for everyone listening.
It's very far.
It is. Yeah. It is. It's uphill, so the water would have to go uphill. So we're good.
So again, where can they find more information, first off?
Yeah, so you could visit our website, which is the world's longest website, which is www.morganoaksgreenburial.com.
Morganoaksgreenburial.com.
Yep.
Okay, awesome.
And that has all of our stuff. So photos of the property, pricing. So couple cool things on the property that we have. We have a pet cemetery, which is really cool. We're one of the only ones in the area. We have a Jewish burial garden, which has been blessed by the rabbis.
Oh, nice.
We have Bridge to Valhalla, which is our veteran section. And the really cool thing about our veteran section is not only can the veteran and their spouse be buried there, but their entire family can be buried there, which is not normal in a veteran section.
Okay, so do me a favor. Let's say my father just passed away.
Okay.
Tell me the experience. What am I going to go through working with Morgan Oaks Eternal Preserve, the green process, as opposed to another memorial in Sacramento?
Sure. So you're obviously going to come to the body is you're either going to be cremated or a full body. We can do either one.
Okay.
And then so you go through the process with the funeral home, and then you land at Morgan Oaks. That's your final resting place. And so we do exactly what you would see.
Can you have a service at Morgan Oaks?
So we have a graveside service, exactly what you would see at a traditional cemetery. So you come, the tent, the chairs, the family, the gathering. It's outdoors, it's beautiful, and you lay your loved one to rest. And so you can plant a tree. We do offer that, which is what a lot of people want. It's leaving a legacy. That's your tree. Mm-hmm. Stephanie Brow's tree, and her family gets to come and sit next to it, sit under it. Or you have a companion plot, so we have everything that a traditional cemetery would have. We just don't have all the upsell. We don't have all the additional things that are needed because you don't need it.
So would you have a gravestone there?
Yeah, so all of our headstones are flat if you want one. Otherwise, we have GPS locators. So if you're super tech savvy, you could put in your latitude and longitude and it would take you right to your plot.
Or it's a tree.
Yep,
right?
Or a tree. But yeah, all of our headstones are flat. They all look the same. Nothing to obstruct the view. So it's just a beautiful setting.
Like that, yeah.
So you can have that. And then, a lot of people will leave a rock or a stone, anything that's not artificial that just is very earthy.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And then it allows the coyotes and the deers and the birds and all the squirrels and animals to come and experience nature.
And we have 3 miles of walking trails. So we have a lot of dog walkers that come out there. I've run those trails before. Like, it's open to the public.
Oh, it is? Because I was about to say, since it is private property, are you allowed to just come and visit whenever you want?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, and a lot of people use it that don't even have loved ones there. They just want a place that's quiet, off the main roads, and can just let their dogs come and just run and play. And so it's a park-like setting, really.
Okay. So aside from it being more cost effective, why would I want this for a family member?
I believe, so my dad passed away 3 years ago. And half of him, he was cremated, obviously. Half of him is in a traditional cemetery and half is at Morgan Oaks. And what I love is it's just peaceful, it's serene, and it feels better. Like, all of my families that go visit a traditional cemetery feel sad and it's dreary.
For sure.
Whereas Morgan Oaks, it's open, it's beautiful sunset views, meadow views. I mean, I truly tell people, once you visited one time, you get it. Mm-hmm. You just feel different when you're there. You want to visit. I mean, most of my families that lay loved ones to rest visit regularly. Whereas a traditional cemetery, you bury someone and you're like, all right, we're done. We did check that box. We needed to do that.
Yeah, that is so interesting. I think this is something that maybe a lot of people have never heard of, but something they definitely would want to explore.
Yeah, I don't. You think you're telling the world. Like, from my perspective, I'm like, gosh, everybody knows about this. We're on billboards. We've mailed you stuff. But it's also not a typical burial process. It's what we did, pre-Civil War. And then we stopped doing that. And now we are one of the only people that do what we do.
Now, I know there's people listening and they're thinking, well, okay, I have my mother buried there at Morgan Oaks Eternal Preserve, and I love it. But what's going to happen 5-10 years from now? Is they're going to start house development right next door, and maybe they're concerned about that?
Great. I get that question all the time because, look around. Everyone is building somewhere on top of. So the answer is no. So if you come out to Morgan Oaks, you'll see most of our people, our neighbors, own all their acreage. They're cattle farmers. They're, quarry research is done across the street underground. Placer has that for, 80 plus years. And just the way the zoning is, there isn't going to be anything in our neighborhood. Okay. As far as Morgan Oaks goes, once a body is interred in the ground there, you can never make it anything other than a cemetery. So
gotcha. That makes sense. There you go.
We are a cemetery forever because we have a body in the ground.
So do you get to pick where you want your family member buried?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so how does that work? Can you go out there and look around, or is there certain sections, parcels that you're looking at?
Yeah, so there's 5 areas where people can be buried. Obviously, if you're not a pet, you don't go in the pet cemetery. Right. But when you come out, we tour by appointment. So I take you on the golf cart, we cruise around, I show you all the areas. And then when you say, okay, Steph, I really like Sunset Bridge. That's one of our gardens. Then I say, okay, great. Let's actually pick your plot. So we have a lot of people that are pre-planning. Sure. I think that is the smartest thing to do. I didn't do that before because I didn't know it was a thing. I think most people are like, oh, I'm not ready yet. I'm not dying. Just because you pick your plot doesn't mean you're going to die tomorrow.
Oh, no.
So, my dad died without anything planned. And I was left with asking him literally hours before he passed, how do you want to die? Who wants to talk about that? And so I love the families that come in and they're like, I just want to plan so my kids know what to do, when to do it, who to call. And we're done. So they pick their plot. They know exactly where they're going to go. And a lot of times they'll come out with their family to visit their plot, to visit their tree, and to just they're proud of it. Whereas when was the last time you heard someone say, I picked my plot at the cemetery off of Greenback. Let's go visit.
Right.
No. That sounds sad. Whereas at Morgan Oaks, my people love to visit their spot and their tree. We'll plant your tree. If you said, Steph, I want a tree, we'll plant your tree tomorrow or during tree planting season. My biologist would hate that I said tomorrow, but during tree planting season, and you could come and see it and you can watch it grow for the next 20 years. So
that's cool.
You do get to pick your specific place, which I think is awesome.
Awesome. Cool. Again, we're talking with Stephanie Brow. She is with Morgan Oaks Eternal Preserve. It's a green burial plus a wild preserve. And they can find more information. What's the website again?
MorganOaksGreenBurial.com.
MorganOaksGreenBurial.com. MorganOaksGreenBurial.com. What else have we not discussed that you want to make sure that we talk about?
You can definitely visit us on our social media. So we have an Instagram and we have a Facebook, Morgan Oaks Eternal Preserve, where you can see kind of what goes on there every day. I think, we do some cool stuff. You can see the buildings that we're building as far as our new office that's out there. So we do all of the things. We have events out there. We partner with our vineyard next door to do things. I was telling someone recently, I'll go and sit and watch the sunset or the sunrise. And my dad is buried atop the hill. And so you can come out there, walk your dogs, just go for a walk or run.
And I think sometimes we need that perspective.
Yeah.
That life is short. Mm-hmm. Go out there and meditate, pray.
Yeah,
I like that idea. So tell me about the pet cemetery. If we have a dog or a cat that's been a family member, how does that work?
So I'm a pet lover, so I created this probably 9 months ago. You can't find a pet cemetery very much around here anymore. So we treat our pets just like we would treat a human. So the pet has a headstone. They have an obituary should you choose to do that.
Okay.
And we do a full graveside service should you want to do that. So tent, chairs, the whole shebang. And our families that laid a dog or whatever to rest, we have a mini pony out there that was laid to rest. Come and visit just like a human would. We can do equines. We can do
What's that?
A horse.
Oh, okay.
We can bury a full body horse if needed. And it's just like a human burial.
What about a goldfish? No, I'm just kidding.
Yes, if you want
My kids had goldfish and they died. It was we've not replaced the pet yet.
Might be a little costly for a goldfish, but and they get a casket should you choose or an urn, whatever the family wants, we can make that happen. And that's what I love about Morgan Oaks too. For those of you listening, we are privately owned. So if a family comes to me and says, hey, I'd really like this to happen,
sure,
I can create that for them.
Right.
And that's
cool.
what I love serving them. We're here for the community. So whatever I can do to make this horrible season in their life better or more enjoyable, I'm here for it. That's my job.
It's funny because you watch movies like that scene in Forrest Gump. I don't know if you remember, but remember when he buries Jenny on his property in that tree and the birds are flying out? I think everybody envisions something like that. That's just me. Yeah. I know some people have already made that choice and everything, but for the future, I just think this is what, it should be.
It should be this. And I think when people come out there, they're like, oh my gosh, this is what it should be. I had no idea that this was the vision that I had, and it could be created. Yeah. It's already created. 4 years ago, it opened, and here we are. Again, I tell people listening, just come out. You don't have to come out and buy. Okay, we are not. That's one of the things we don't do.
Not a high pressure salesperson.
No, I don't. You do you, but come out and just see it. You might just want to sit and just relax on our chairs out on the property.
I love that. Again, Morgan Oaks Eternal Preserve Green Burial. Stephanie Brow is the manager there. Like she said, go check it out. Google it. and schedule a visit to go out there and see if this is going to be right for your mom, your dad, your grandparents, even yourself.
Come out and visit. You're not, we'll give you a free bottle of wine just for visiting. That's one of our
wow,
things. Yeah, I know.
Sold. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
From our neighbors. So if I need to bribe you with something, that is a good reason to want to visit and just check it out.
Awesome. What's the website? One more time.
MorganOaksGreenBurial.com.
MorganOaksGreenBurial.com. Thanks, Stephanie. Appreciate it.
Thank you.